هناك الكثير من الأسئلة حول شركة ألف للتعليم، وخصوصا من بعد ما تحدثنا عن هذا الطرح في سوق أبو ظبي، طبعا الذي يضيف اقتصاد يعني للسوق أبو ظبي نشاط جديد. خليني أول شيء إذا كان بالإمكان بدقيقة واحدة نحكي للمشاهدين نوع نشاط الشركة والخدمات التي تقدمها قبل أن أدخل أنا وإياك بتفاصيل فرص الاستثمار والنمو التي تتوقعها للشركة.
Thank you very much for having me. So Aleph Education is an award-winning K-12 digital learning company. We work to transform teaching and learning and really raise improvement for students. And we have that done to a scientific way. So we work with governments, schools, to actually transform education in a very digital way that is fun, engaging for students, to make sure that they unleash their potential. And we use AI to kind of drive that personalization for learning, but more importantly, to work with teachers to make sure they can really use technology tools to get the best possible outcome for their learners.
القصة الأهم اليوم للمستثمر أو المهتم بهذا الطرح هو موضوع النمو. نحن بنعرف بأنه الشركة كانت تركز على السوق الإماراتي وبآخر فترة بلشتوا تتوسعوا جغرافيا في 3 دول غير الإمارات العربية المتحدة. لديكم عقد مع المدارس الحكومية في الإمارات. اليوم قصة النمو، يعني أنا كيف فيك تقنع المستثمر أو المهتم بهذا الطرح بأنه أنت سيكون لديك نمو جيد للشركة؟ ما هي خطة النمو التي موضوعة اليوم لديكم وتريدون العمل عليها؟ اقنعنا فيها.
Sure. So I think we've given some very interesting guidance in terms of our future prospects for growth, which shows that the company will grow at least 10 to 15% year on year over the next 2 to 3 years. Now, this is obviously solidified with a strong base here in the UAE, not only working with government schools, but expanding that within the GCC and the regional areas. We've had very good appetite for the work that we do working with governments, but we're also branching our sector into B2B and selling directly into schools. I'll give you one other example. Last year, we worked with Morocco, the Ministry of Education Morocco, where we conducted a 6-month pilot. That pilot was very successful, and there's advanced discussions now with the ministry through an RFP process where we feel very comfortable in our ability to close that and continue to make an impact in the region. So I think we have a very well-fueled growth plan. We have a strong management team. And obviously with the local support here, with the government and the support and the impact that we've made, we are very, very comfortable with the growth for the foreseeable future for the company.
طيب أنتم بتقولوا بأنه هدفكم الوصول ل 22 مليون طالب خلال العقد القادم، وكما ذكرت التوسع جغرافيا خارج حدود الإمارات العربية المتحدة. أصلا أنتم موجودين اليوم بإندونيسيا والمغرب والولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. بس إذا أنت بدك توصل لهذا الهدف اللي هو 22 مليون طالب، ما الذي ستقوم به؟ من هي الدول التي تستهدفها؟ وخصوصا أنه نحن في انفراستراكشر معينة، يعني لحتى تقوم بهذا التعليم اللي عم تتحدث عنه الذي الإلكتروني لازم يكون في بنى تحتية محددة وجاهزة لاستقبال هذا النوع. وين أسواقك المستهدف في خلال المرحلة القادمة؟
Sure. So look, I think in terms of our growth, we have a couple of key pillars. One is to super serve the UAE. There's quite a big addressable market that we're still not serving. This is going down to K-4, continuing to add value into schools and school groups because there's a boom in terms of education. Also in the GCC, you look at Saudi, where we've put people on the ground in Saudi Arabia. We're starting to see good traction. Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, etc. Egypt is another big developed market. Number 2, we also are looking at the inorganic side of things. So what are some additional things that we as Aleph Education, given our financial position, can do to consolidate and de-risk in terms of acquiring new products that will help us scale into new markets, but will also de-risk the ability to build into new markets. And most importantly, I think, that aspiration of really building a global edtech brand. We have won some prestigious awards over the last few years, but our aspiration over the 10 years, as you rightly said, is to touch north of 20 million learners globally and really make this a global education company. So we feel that we've got the team, a strong growth plan, a very supportive board that is all driven to help us realize. And I think through those initial proof points in the US, in Indonesia, in Morocco, some of the traction we're starting to see in new markets like Saudi, we feel that we're well on our way to achieve those growth ambitions for the firm.
طيب أعلنتم سياسة التوزيعات وقلتوا بأنه توزيعاتكم رح تكون على مدى العامين المقبلين بتفاصيل واضحة، بس اليوم الكل عم بيسأل ماذا بعد ذلك؟ يعني استراتيجية التوزيعات كيف ستكون بعد السنتين؟
Yes, sure. So look, I think in terms of the financial performance of the company, year on year, we've shown a very high ROE. And the guidance that we've given is at least for the first 2 years, the selling shareholders are going to guarantee 135 million AED in dividends in year 2024 fiscal year and 2025. This strong is a good basis to onboard new investors, to give them that guarantee that that growth is going to take time, and in the next year they'll start to see the benefit of that. Now, keep in mind, given the high ROE, we expect, typically subject to, board and formal approvals and company performance, we hope to continue that same trajectory, that basically 90% of the profits will be basically paid back to the shareholders or to the new investors as dividends going forward. But for the first 2 years, we've locked that into a amount of 135 million AED that will be paid each year for the first 2 years.
طيب كيف كانت التغطية حتى اليوم؟ حدثنا عنه وقديش كان في رد الفعل أو كيف تم استقباله من المستثمر الأجنبي؟ يعني أعطيني مستثمرين أجانب، كيف كان ردة الفعل؟ كيف لحد اليوم التغطية للاكتتاب؟
Look, that's a very good question. I think we've seen tremendous coverage. We are very unique and very proud to be the first of its kind edtech to be listed in the UAE. And I think that is a new asset class. It's brought a lot of interest locally, definitely, regionally, and more importantly, internationally. To see a story like this coming out from Abu Dhabi and the UAE is attracted a lot of attention. And if you also notice that just over the weekend, we announced that given the demand, on the retail side, we've increased that retail tranche, which was essentially 8% to now 10%. So that is obviously indicative of the demand also on the retail side. But we've seen well-received feedback from institutional investors, family offices, from the UAE, from regionally, and also internationally as well.
الرئيس التنفيذي لشركة ألف للتعليم جيفري ألفونسو، شكرا جزيلا لك.